been waiting a long time to say this, and I'm going to say it. Not dead yet. I don't mind telling you, I'm 81 years old, and I'm feeling every year of it at this point. And a while back, about a year back, I woke up on my 80th birthday and I said, "You are not who you used to be, Buster. You better take a look at yourself and where you're going." So this past year, I've been giving a lot of thought to what I was going to do with my career and where it should go, what should happen. And long about October or so, I met with I got a phone call actually from my publisher and my agent at the same time, which is never good news. And they said, "You know, we're a little worried about where you're going with your career and what you're going to do next," and so on. And I said, "Well, I can help you with that right now." I said, "I'm done." And they said, long pause. And they said, "What do you mean you're done?" And I said, "I'm not doing it anymore." And they said, "Well, what do you expect to do with your books and your career? You've got a lot of people out there that want to see what's going to happen next." And I said, "Hey, I saw what James Patterson did. I'm going that route." I said, "I'm just, I'll be here to the extent that I'm needed, but find another writer." And after some discussion about it, and during which they said, "Well, are you going to choose them?" And I said, "No, you're going to give me a list of who works with you that you think might be appropriate, and I want to choose from that list about the person I think is best suited for this." In typical fashion, I said, "The only caveat is it has to be a woman, because I'm a matriarchy guy. I was raised with women. Women have been my friends all my life in every format you can imagine. And I just felt like that's who I could work with. And I had it in the back of my head, and she has to be as tough as nails. I can't have somebody I can walk all over, or this whole thing will not work at all." And I was conscious of the fact that I have a very, very, maybe the single most loyal audience in the whole fantasy field, because it's true. I mean, you've backed me all the way for 50 years. I've been doing this for 50 years. Oh my God. And I felt like, I didn't want to make a disappointing disappearance, and I didn't want to just drop away, and I didn't want to just say, what do I care? I'm out of it. I wanted to make this transition a real one and to work with whoever was going to pick up the reins with me. And they gave me a list of 8 names, and right away I said, Delilah Dawson. She's who I want. I like her, I respect her, she's got moxie, she's got courage, and she's smart, and she can write. And I said, and plus that, she will not take any guff off of me at all. I mean, she's not some little junior person. She's got some meters on her too. So I talked to her on the phone about it. Said, "Here's the deal. I want you to take over. I want you to do what you want to do with me." And she said, "Yeah, what do you want?" And I said, "Well, right away I got to continue the Chandler series because I'm one book into it and stopped dead in my tracks. So you do that, and then after that we can see how things go, and you can decide what you want to do." He says, "Well, how much do you want me to do?" And I said, "I want you to do everything. Everything. I'm done." I said, "Here's what I am. I am a resource for you to the extent that you require it. I don't have to create the plots. I don't have to do anything else. I've got 31 books in the Chandler series that have charted a course for a period of time. You could just take up where I left off, and you can figure out what should happen. And you can send me an outline and let me know, and I'll tell you if I see anything that bothers me." And we've been working that way now for about 6 months. And I've had to tell her so far, nothing, because she knows what she's doing, and that's what I was hoping for. And I've seen some of the stuff she's doing. I think you'll be very pleased if you want to continue with the series, which I hope you will, with what she's going to do. Now, does this mean that I'm done? I don't know. I don't know. Of course, in typical fashion, the author is already working on another book. not with any diligence or anything, and not with any serious commitment. I've got, I don't know, 3 chapters written, and I like the story, but I don't know how long it'll take me to do it anymore, because I don't write with the same enthusiasm, because when you get to be this age, you know, your strength, your endurance, your stick-to-itiveness, and particularly your memory starts to slide. And so right now I can barely remember an awful lot of the names of the people I used to know all the time, including some who I'm related to. So I have to be realistic about what I'll be able to do, and when you know, that I can step aside when I need to step aside. And I don't want to put myself under any pressure, so no more contracts, none of that stuff. I'll just do what I can do. Delilah, too bad for her. She's under contract, and she has to do the gut work and the hard stuff that's involved in keeping the series going. Because believe it or not, the publisher thinks the series should continue on. And you know, if you've read the series, you know there's a lot of gaps. And there's a lot of unanswered questions. And there's a lot of ways that we can take the story. And I'd like to see that happen, but you know, I'm just not going to live that long. It's not going to happen. And I have to step aside, just like an awful lot of writers have done before me. And I felt like this was the way to go about it. So I'm not trying to scam anybody, and I'm not trying to, you know, pretend that I can do something that I know I can't do anymore, with the efficiency and the thoroughness that I've prided myself on. I can say, which an awful lot of writers can't, that I don't have a single book out there that I would back away from at this point. I think that everything I've done has been my best effort. Thank you. You know, nobody has the kind of people reading for them that I do. I have so much respect for you, for loving me. No, just because everybody's been up front from the start, and I think I've always encouraged that. I think it's important that you have that relationship with the people that you're writing books for, and that you are able to defend your work, and you're able to stand up for it, and you're able to say, you know, I gave it my best shot each time out. Maybe you like one book better than the other, just like me. You know, I'll never write another Elfstones. Never. That was, and you know the story, right? You know the story on Elfstones? Yeah, you're all nodding, so you all do. I don't have any secrets anymore. So, you know, these kinds of things are part and parcel of who I am, where I came from, how lucky I've been, lucky, all the time. I still can't believe that I ever got published, for God's sake, because, you know, there's no way I should have been published, and yet, just because this old grizzled science fiction writer wanted to prove the rest of the world wrong about what was being published in fantasy, I got that book published, Sword of Shannara, years and years ago. He took that book because he wanted to prove that they were wrong, and that you could write a Tolkien-esque book and it would sell. You know, 5 million copies later, whatever it was now, not a lot more than that. So you know, how many writers get that kind of an opportunity? And I talk to young writers all the time about how hard they're working, and how they're trying to break the doors of this business down, and how difficult it is, and because the competition is fierce. Because there's so many people who want this same opportunity. They're all people trying to become a published, established writers. And you know, that's not something that's given to you. That's something that you have to work for. And I can tell you, as I've said before in other situations, that I have this experience of having worked with many of these writers and heard their stories, and their stories are always the same. This is that story I tell about Liz Engstrom years ago, who gives this class on what does it take to get successfully published. Ask the class. The class says, oh, character, oh, you know, so on and so forth. And she says, no, luck. It's luck. and luck strikes in all kinds of magical ways. That's what makes it so much fun. So I'm not going to read to you tonight. I'm not going to do anything with you tonight other than I'm going to spend some time with you talking one-on-one and answering any questions that you might have about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what's my future. No, not that. That kind of stuff. Or anything about the books, anything you want to ask for maybe 15 minutes or so if it lasts that long. So if you got a question, raise your hand. Okay, you raise your hand first. Yes, young lady.
Love the Viridian Deep series. Thank you.
You what?
The Viridian Deep series.
Oh, Viridian Deep. I love those books.
Yeah, really.
I do. I love those books. I actually have a fourth book in that series.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes, I do have a fourth book in that series. Will I write it? I don't know. If I don't write it, I hope somebody else will. I have an outline for it, so maybe I can push it over there and somebody else will go ahead and do that series. That was an awful lot of fun to write that series. Yes, sir.
Is Delilah going to write under Terry Brooks? Or?
Is Delilah going to write as Terry Brooks?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Actually, that's no question, but no, it's going to read like this. Terry Brooks. I'm going to James Patterson. No, it's not going to be like that at all. It's going to be my name and her name together. Because we're going to work on it together. I think my name will start off at the top in the first book, and then her name will move up, and then I'll disappear down there a little. But we're going to share everything. We talked about it at length, as you might guess, and I wanted her to be sure she understood that this is her job. This is her baby. I want her to take charge and do what she does well anyway, and not worry about me. And if I see something that bugs me or whatever, I'll bring it up to her and talk to her about it.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, sir.
I have a specific question about a book I'm reading. My lovely wife and I have been reading to each other for an hour and a half to 2 hours every night since 2023. We're through 16 or 18 of these books together. It's been a treasure. I haven't been a fantasy reader until now. Thank you very much. I got a
Oh, this is about me. Oh, thank you.
My specific question is,
Yes,
we
sir.
are in the middle of running with the demon. Okay.
My best book.
And running, does that refer to Nest running because she's a runner, or
Yes.
does that mean something else?
No, it means she's a runner. And she's running, obviously, she's running in different directions and different ways in this story because she's got a childhood that she doesn't understand. She has powers that she doesn't understand. She's got a future that is, something to run either towards or away, depending on your point of view. And she's always running away from the things that are chasing her down. That was such an easy book to write. I wrote that book in 7 months.
Wow.
I mean, it was one of the fastest books I've ever written. That was an original story from the get-go, and I was so focused on what that story needed to be and how I wanted it to feel that it was easy. Some other books, hard work, but that one was so easy.
Wow.
If they all could be that way, I would have written twice as many books. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Quick, are you going to make sure that all your books are audiobooks? There's a couple of books that I can't find as audiobooks, and it's wonderful where I do for a living.
Yes, I don't know the answer to why they were all done as audiobooks at one point or another, but by different companies at different times, and you know how that goes. So some of them may have fallen through the cracks, or I don't know. But yeah, my books will continue to be produced as audiobooks, and also language books, large print. Until, of course, the publisher wakes up one morning and says, "Is he still alive?" Because I don't know about how long they'll carry it out, but their immediate intentions are to continue on with everything the way it has been. and to, give Delilah a chance to advance the series in the same way. And I should also mention that she's only working in the genre books initially, and the others are done. They're done. I'm not sure they're done for good, but they're at least done for good for now, because we don't have any plans to put anything out, and that includes me. Everything I'm going to write from here on in is going to be new. I say that now, but that's what I'm thinking. Yes, sir.
So most fantasy stuff, they go backwards in time, and you jump forward to post-apocalyptic, and I wanted to know what got you to do that, because that's really cool.
Onward, ever onward. I don't know, it always seemed that was the right way to go. I never thought about jumping back, although, I've structured the series so that we started in the middle, and then I went forward for a while until I had to explain, about the past. So then I went back and took the past and brought it forward, so I feel like I've jumped around more than I've done anything.
Right, but that past is still way future for us.
Well, yeah, everything's way future for us. We're thousands of years ahead when we get into this whole thing. But it gets a little confusing, and part of the struggle in the beginning and all the way through has been, how do we organize this in a way that the readers will understand what the heck is going on? And despite, my insisting on my brilliancy as a writer, the publisher said, you gotta do better than that. So the theory was, if you tell the books in groups, which I've always liked writing in groups of 2, 3, or 4, whatever, and then you set them up in the index in the front of the book, in a way that structures the timeline correctly, that will be enough to get people. I said, you're putting too much stock in these people. They'll never figure this out. But I guess everybody has pretty much figured it out and been able to, try to trace that timeline through on each of the sets of books that have come down the pike. But then again, I also at the beginning I thought I'll just write forever and I'll get it all done eventually. But that's not working out. So there you go. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Did you watch the TV adaptation, and did you want to change anything on it?
Did I watch my movie?
TV.
The TV, yeah, I remember. Of course I want to change it. I want to change all kinds of things. I changed as much as I could at the time, but that's something that you can have the power to do, and yet you still can't do it. I learned that lesson. And for the most part, I didn't, occasionally I thought there were certain aspects of what was done that I wanted to say, tell them to put on some clothes, will you? Things like that. But by and large, I thought they did a pretty good job. But the first season, the second season, they switched me over to a different channel, and then it kind of all fell apart. And that was too bad. But that's the nature of the beast, and besides, they paid me so much money. I thought, everybody who watches and watch those, they say, oh, we love the books anyway, we don't care. The books are what we're interested in. And I'm a book guy, I don't connect with the film and so forth. I watch movies and so forth. But for me, the story is always in the book, and always in the time it takes to get you through a book and so forth. And I talk about this all the time, even with the people who've had films made, except for Harry Potter. Yes, ma'am.
You said you've been doing this for 50 years. I've been following you for 45. So there we go.
Well.
So my question is, back in the day, you had a Shadara game, a computer game.
Oh yeah, I
I
did.
still have that. Are you gonna bring it up to date so we can actually play it again?
I don't even know if that company's in existence, let alone the game.
There's new companies.
Maybe somebody. I get offers all the time to do new games and new projects in conjunction with those books. But mostly I say, I don't really care. And
Well, how much will it be worth?
well, now if a figure came up that I liked. But I don't know. I'm not driven to do something like that real hard. I'm still looking around when they come around and say, we'd like to do more with the gaming, because I'm aware of the fact that gaming has become huge. Clue is not the biggest thing in the world. And that's all happened in the last 10, 15 years. It's always been strong, but it's really strong now. So there are opportunities out there. I'm in the midst of some talks and negotiations right now on this very subject, but I'm not handling it because, what do I know? I don't play games anymore. Well, Parcheesi. I still do word games and stuff like that because my wife and I are both big into any kind of word game. But I think you have to, what do I bring to the table? Well, not much. If I see something I like, I can approve it and that's it. Beyond that, I just have better things to do with my time. You want a second question? Well, jeez, okay. What? Oh, all right.
When Delilah starts doing her book tours, will you be joining her? Will you be doing more book tours?
Explain that phrasing. Will I be joining her?
Yeah, or is she joining you?
No, Delilah operates on her own time limit, and she lives in Georgia, and I'm not going to Georgia. We talk by phone, and we meet at conventions or something like that. I'm sure we'll do a lot of that. But no, I don't need to tell her what to do. This is a very accomplished writer. And if I didn't think so, I would have said, yeah, this is the right person. So I'm trusting her to take the reins and do the best job she can with it. And I expect her to make some differences and make some changes and so forth. And I hope nobody will be too quick to judge what she's doing, because every writer brings their own skill set to the writing of a book. It's no coincidence that an awful lot of the fantasy I'm reading today I like better than what I did. And I'm not going to mention many of the young women's names who are so skilled at making my blood curdle, but they're out there and they're really, really good. And so I feel like, that's the way it is in this business. There's always somebody who's going to be better than you are, and there's always somebody who's going to be newer and we have better ideas, and you just have to accept that. You had your time and you should let it go. Again? Yes, sir. Yeah, oh.
To continue that question though, will you continue to tour since your name's on the book?
Will I tour? No. Maybe. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, so I'm just going to say I'm touring this year.
Yeah.
Here in the local area. I'll be here, and I'll be in. Where else am I going? I'll be at Barnes and Noble in Seattle next week, this same date, and I'll be in Paulsbo, of all places, at Liberty Books in early April. And I don't know. I'm going to go to World Fantasy Convention this year because it's in Seattle, and make an appearance. And I'll go to San Diego this year, probably for the last time. I don't know, a couple other places. Calgary maybe. So I'm just gonna see it, what seems to work, but I can't tell you how long I'm gonna last because already I can feel myself, losing energy almost daily. I never used to nap, and now I'm napping all the time, for God's sake. I'll probably just nap myself right into the next world. So I just have to kind of wait and see how this goes, and I don't even know how my writing schedule is going to go, so I'm not making any promises about that. Yes, sir?
Lessons from a writer's life. Are you thinking of departing more lessons on us?
I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Oh, lessons from a writer's life, your book?
Oh, lessons from a writer's life.
Are you going to add any more lessons to it?
No. I don't think so. I don't think I have any more lessons to offer at this point. So somebody else isn't already covering. I don't know, you know, maybe, yes.
Question about, for instance, the Running with the Demon trilogy. When you wrote it, did you plan out and plot out all 3 books, or did you finish
No.
the first one and decide?
Only the first, I work book to book. Always. I never map out the books in advance. I think that takes something away from you. The thing about making a book is that you shouldn't know how the book's gonna turn out for sure until you write the book. You should leave yourself the space to change your mind and to make something different. It's a developing story. Well, if it's a developing story, then that doesn't mean you know it all at the beginning. And I've talked to a lot of writers, and some of them are friends of mine. Well, most of them are friends of mine, and they're all very, very skilled. But when they talk about how they put a book together, step by step by step by step before they write it, I want to say, why bother writing the book? You've already done all this work, for crying out loud. Aren't you kind of excited about seeing where it might go rather than just plotting it all out in advance? So, to me, the element of a good story, one of the elements of a good story is the suspense that's built into the story about where it's going to go and how it's going to turn out. And, you know, I want to catch you off guard at least a couple times. That's why I say, don't ever get too fond of anybody in my stories. Because I will, if I can pull a rug out, I will. Yes, sir. Now you want me to choose among my children. I don't know. I think it really, the way I write, it depends on what you like to read. You know, there's a big difference between the Shamrock books and the Magic Kingdom books and the Word and Void books and the Child of Light books. They're all very different. And yeah, they're all adventure stories, they're all fantasy stories and so forth, but you know, the way they're put together is so different. It just depends on the kind of story you like. If you like something with a little humor in it, you know, if you like something that's fantastical, you read Magic Kingdom. If you're looking for Tolkien-esque, you read, you know, the Shatner books. I don't know. I want you to read everything I've read. So it's real hard for me to make that decision. We're running out of time here, but I'll take a few more questions here before we quit. Yes, sir.
I wonder if Delilah, if you asked her or if she's read the series ahead of time, like each book or several books, to get a real idea of the world you created.
That would be like asking her to tell me about her personal relationships with men. And I'm not comfortable with that. So no, I think I have to leave it up to, you know, I don't know. As far as I know, maybe she's never read anything. I know, actually I do know she has. But I don't think that's germane to the question. I think the question I'm looking for is what kind of a writer is she? And can she pick this up and go with it? Is she committed to it? How deeply is she committed to it? And if I feel that's sufficient, and she can talk to me intelligently about the series, that's as much as I can hope for. It's like saying, do you think you can do this book? Well, who's going to say, no, actually I don't, but I'll give it a try. And we'll see if I'm right about this. You can come back in 5 years and say, you were so wrong. I don't think so. Yes, sir.
In your books, there's been many times where your parties branch off. You start as one large group, they branch off into many areas. How do you keep it organized?
I do.
To where? I never got lost, so what do you do?
I don't know. I think, of course, I do a lot of outlining. I do a lot of organizational work along the way. I always have my references to go back to. I have compendium books that tell me everything I need to know about myself. That's all very useful. And by and large, I'm trusting on the fact that I'm so connected to this material that whatever you find, I'll be ready to deal with it. Yeah, right. I don't know. I just hope for the best mostly. We have to quit this here pretty quick. Yes, sir.
Now you come to the end of your career, you've had such a wonderful career. How does it feel to have touched so many lives?
I'm sorry. How does my life feel?
How do you feel that you've touched so many lives in the world of creates?
Boy, I don't know if I have an answer to that question. I mean, I set out to be published. I got that job done. I thought, this was pretty good. Start right there. Then I set out to write a set of books that I thought was successful, and was happy with. Did that for 3 books. Then went to my publisher and said, now I want to do something different. So then we got into Magic Kingdom. Next thing I knew, I had written 3 of those, and then I went off to do some more Sham books, and then do more Magic Kingdom books, and then I got a chance by pure luck to write Word and Void for vast amounts of money. So I said, vast amounts of money sounds okay to me. I wanted to do it, so I just think my career sort of mapped itself out for me along the way. If you're paying attention, you can kind of figure out where it needs to go. I'm content with the fact that I can stand behind the books I've written, and I feel like I've done my best work in those books. And I don't have any book I would pull from the line and say, well, that was sort of a half-assed effort, and maybe I should never have gotten written. I don't feel that way about anything I've done, and I don't know how many writers can say that. Maybe they can all say that. You had a question, and I'm gonna quit.
I just wanted to know, as an author, what's your favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about being an author?
Favorite thing about being an author?
Thank you. Sorry, I don't hear either. I don't hear, I don't see, I don't think as well as I used to. I think, it's really hard to say. The contact with the people who read the books constantly amazes me, because I don't have that kind of opinion about anybody. I don't. I just don't have that kind of love and respect, and I'm always constantly amazed, because I want to say, what do you think you're talking about here? You're going to be wrong. But to have this kind of support all these years, 50 years of this kind of support, I mean, how much do you want out of life? For me, this has been a minor miracle, maybe a major miracle for that matter. And to have come this far for this long, and have the support that I still have. I mean, this whole thing about when I wrote my piece for social media, and I got all these letters and all these comments and everything from people I didn't know, of course, but also from writers I hadn't heard from in not 50 years, but in, let's say, 20, 30 years. And what kind of respect is that? That's pretty damn amazing. So I'm glad I went that road. Instead of being an attorney, glad I'm here where I am now. And all I can tell you is that there are so many good writers out there right now. It's just stunning, and the opportunities to find something to read that will just absolutely blow your mind are pretty spectacular. I spent this past weekend, past weekend, 2 weekends ago, I guess, at Emerald City Comic Con, and I did an interview with Cassandra Clare. And I told Cassandra when I met her, I said, I want to be up front with you. I've never read your work. Until, of course, I heard I was going to do this, and then I read your last 2 books, and she said, that's all right. She says, don't worry about that. We got into a conversation, and I thought, I think if I wasn't already married. Not that it didn't go that far, but it did go far enough that I was so impressed with her and thought her work was so good that it was something I wished that we'd met before and spent time together before, because we had so much fun. And I find that happening all the time, and I'm grateful for those opportunities and the chances to talk with others. I think I'll miss that most of all. It's being out there and talking to other authors about what they're doing and asking what's driving their reading interests and what's, making them tick recently in their work, because they all got stories, they all got amazing histories, and it's pretty impressive. So that's it. I'm just going to tell you once again, thank you so much for many, many years of enjoyment.